In all the years since Attack on Titan first started airing, I have never met a person who didn't love, or at the very least, like Sasha. Known lovingly between my friends and I as the eccentric potato girl who gave zero fucks, so we always laughed about how relatable she was because of how much she loved good food. She was always there to provide laughs and support, and grew on the audience as one of the most memorable support characters in the show. Today, I want to take a look back at the life of Sasha and show that she's not just as simple as the Potato Girl, and explore what exactly made her life in the show so impactful for us viewers, and how she transitioned from just being a comedic relief character into a beloved personality and a core member of the Scouts team. Hey everyone, it's your boy Hamza B2K and welcome back to my channel. It's Attack on Titan season here, and I'm working hard on a ton of new Attack on Titan related videos like character analyses, video essays, and topic explanations for you guys to enjoy. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see me cover, then comment that down below. To support the future growth and content of this channel, please consider leaving a like and subscribing with notifications turned on so that you know as soon as new content goes live. Please note that there will be series spoilers throughout this video. Sasha was raised in Dapper, a small village of hunters in the forested regions in the south of Wall Rose. Before the fall of Wall Maria, Sasha lived a relatively simple yet demanding hunting lifestyle with her father. After the assault by the Colossal and Armored Titans, refugees from Wall Maria made their way within Wall Rose. As a result, many refugees found their way into Dapper, significantly reducing the resources available. With the number of mouths to feed significantly increasing, Sasha became frustrated that their hunts were being disrupted and that the available animals were less readily available. See, until this point, Sasha didn't really ever need to worry about food. She's always loved eating and would always get to eat her fill. But after the destruction of the walls, she began to complain that she's always feeling hungry now because of the supply shortages. She's young and insensitive at this point, explaining that it's essentially not her fault for the people losing their homes to the Titans and that they have no right to be taking food from Dapper. With the surge in population, it becomes really clear that the lifestyle of the forest is not going to be sustainable, so the villagers actually started cutting down parts of the forest to create and cultivate farmland. Sasha's father considers leaving the hunting lifestyle altogether and decides that maybe raising horses instead while getting government support might be the better idea. Logically, the most amount of people could benefit from this plan, but it would come at the cost of their tradition. Sasha argues back, stating that they shouldn't have to completely uproot their lifestyle simply because of the arrival of some new strangers, and while that's a fair argument to make, Sasha's father states that he would rather take care of their clan and change their lifestyle than to just live alone. The village way of life, and by extension Sasha's lifestyle, was forcibly being changed, and there was nothing she could do about it. I don't particularly blame Sasha or even believe that her sentiment was completely wrong. Traditions are important, and this change of lifestyle was tied to the pride and history of her family. You don't need to think hard, and I know most of us might even be able to look into our own lives or just the world around us to recognize how hard it can be to let go of family or cultural traditions. Her father is firm in his decision, and Sasha, being a stubborn young teenager, refused to fall in with the herd and left her life in the forest against her father's wishes to join the 104th Cadet Corps. We fast forward to day 1 of training camp, where Keith Shaddis, the commander of the new recruits, is going down through his hazing ritual to weed out the weakest among the newbies. As he's making his way down the line, we come down to the infamous potato scene.
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.
Why? Why now of all times, Keith wonders. Why is she eating that potato now? Well, Keith, Sasha makes obviously a very sound argument here that she stole it because otherwise it would have gone bad and she didn't want it to go to waste, and maybe she decided to keep it for its freshness. Now, I could get really deep here and talk about what a true environmentalist she's being here by not wanting to waste food when scarcity is such a problem within the walls, and I could argue that this is just a reflection of how tough times are, but let's be honest, she was probably just hungry and couldn't control herself. Despite that, to show how kind she is, she does offer him almost half the potato. It's not really half the potato. Anyways, Keith has no sense of humor that day and punishes her by having her run laps until she basically almost dies. It's a bit extreme, but anyway, at that point it becomes clear that Sasha takes the role of the comedic relief early on in the story. After the potato incident, Mikasa even uses her as a scapegoat when Jean and Eren are having their fight in the food hall, as Mikasa tells Keith when he comes in checking in on the commotion that Sasha passed some gas, and because of that, everyone was riled up. It's interesting to note that after joining the cadets, she actually speaks really formally on purpose to hide her southern and informal dialect to try and fit in, but despite her efforts, she was still standout weirdo. So, yeah. When Keith evaluates the scouts, he notes that, yeah, Sasha was definitely an unconventional recruit, but she had surprisingly good intuition, most likely from her upbringing as a hunter, which made her a strong, unpredictable recruit, but at the same time, it meant that her style being so different wouldn't necessarily make it easy for her to gel with others in group activities. She specialized in archery, hunting, tracking, and riding with really good hearing and physical capabilities. Now, despite his worries, she graduates rank 9 out of the top 10 in her classes and is constantly given important roles on missions and eventually even makes her way up to Squad Levi. In one of the OVAs, Krista is kidnapped during a training exercise. The group is able to find her thanks to Sasha's advice to get to high ground and scout out the location before rushing in straight to the thieves' camp. Working with Connie, she manages to block off a path and restrict the escape route for the thieves, which helps rescue Krista and is a big part of why the plan is successful. This is where I want to take a little bit of a quick break from Sasha's life story and explain how Sasha being a foodie actually ties in directly with her overall personality. Maybe it's funny, maybe I'm reaching a little, I'll admit, but I did a bit of a dive into food psychology. While most of the stuff out there really just focuses on diet culture, I also found that food is linked both to how we feel as well as neurological desires. Food cravings are caused by regions of our brain that are associated with our memory function, and more specifically, pleasures and rewards. The food we eat is more than just what it tastes like. It also includes what the nutrition of that food is and how much that food satiates a person. Isayama literally states that there's not a single food out there that Sasha dislikes. So whether food is scarce or not, food tends to be a rewarding behavior and Sasha uses that for herself. You might get cravings, not just when you're hungry, but based on an emotional status, like when people eat to feel comfortable. Maybe Sasha's got anxiety issues or something. Maybe that's why she's always eating. Maybe after living such a hard lifestyle in the forest, and due to the scarcity, Sasha always takes the opportunity to eat when she can. Within the walls, we already know that resources are scarce. But despite that, during their first official meeting out in Trust, Sasha smuggles her squad some meat to share from the officer's provision. Look, it might seem goofy, but the entire squad was nervous about it being their first official mission outside. Single-handedly, she manages to raise their spirits and breaks the tension by telling them to be hopeful of their future victories against the Titans, and how eventually that means that they'll be able to have more meat and cattle for everyone. Sharing food shows trust between human beings, and that's like an evolutionary thing as well, and it shows that you're willing to give up some of your resources for others, literally along the lines of that saying, breaking bread with others. It's at that point where the Colossal Titan appears and sends the cadets flying off the wall. Thanks to her quick reflexes, Sasha was able to catch Samuel, one of the fallen cadets, from plummeting to the ground due to some of his faulty ODM gear. Despite being an overall competent soldier, she wasn't always perfect and made some early mistakes in her career. Like when, during the Chaos of the Trust arc, Sasha was tasked as one of the 7 soldiers chosen to kill the Titans in the supply room. The scouts needed to resupply their gas and weapons to escape, but she didn't cut deep enough and had to end up being saved. Understandably, this first encounter with the Titans scared many of the recruits who were left alive after watching many of their comrades and peers die. Sasha even faked a stomachache to avoid having to return to battle, but despite all of that and despite the trauma, she still ended up deciding to join the scouts when she saw her close circle of inner friends were doing the same. It was a tough decision for her, and I don't know that she was fully convinced either, because it's no secret that she burst into tears during Commander Irwin's speech about the future in the Scout Regiment. Still, 3 years pass, and eventually reports emerged that Titans have somehow appeared within the walls, and so soldiers were sent as couriers to warn each district, especially in the outer regions. Sasha is assigned to the North Squad in the direction of Doppler Village. She follows some Titan tracks along the way, and she hopes that her father managed to escape in time. She comes to one of the new villages that had been developed over the past 3 years, and finds a child, traumatized, sitting and watching as her mother is devoured before her eyes. Sasha, without hesitating, bursts into the home and swings an axe at the Titan, grabs the child, and runs. Her horse gets scared off before she's able to get on, and she's forced to run on foot with Kaya, the girl, as the Titan pursues them. With just her bow and a few arrows, she assures the girl that she'll be okay and sends her off to continue down the path towards other soldiers while she stays back to deal with the Titan. She screams for the girl to never give up and to never lose hope, and fires an arrow into the Titan's throat. With only 2 arrows left, she manages to land 1 arrow in its eye. With her last arrow, she realizes that if she misses the shot, she'll die and so will the girl. She cannot afford to miss blinding this Titan. So not willing to take the chance, Sasha drives the arrow into the Titan's eye with her bare hands and then makes a run for it, escaping his grip only because of the amount of blood. She runs into her father and some other villagers who have been helping by giving horses to people in need. It turns out that her father's horse racing business came in handy after all. Her father smiles and tells her how proud of her he is, and she tells him that she's happy to be home. Fun fact, after this mission, she even ends up getting a steamed potato as a reward. After some time, Sasha and some of the scouts discuss their suspicions that Reiner and Bertold are the traitors among them. Sasha mostly just recalls their food habits, but doesn't really add much to the conversation. When they eventually confront them in their Titan forms, Sasha tries to plead with them by appealing to their friendship, but it doesn't work. And then due to ensuing political chaos within the walls, when Kenny and his militia try to kill the scouts, and when Rod Reese captures Aaron, Sasha further shows off her sharpshooting ability by shooting fire arrows into gunpowder barrels. She's a critical asset to the mission, as the resulting smokescreen is what helps the scouts retrieve Aaron while killing their enemies despite being hugely outnumbered. During this fight, her shooting skills also happen to be the ones that save Connie's life. Her heroics also extend beyond her soldier duties. 2 months after the Rod Reese arc, Sasha helps out at an orphanage as well and plays with some of the children while she helps the squad with supplies. She's loyal to her friends, and when her, Connie, and Jean eventually take on Reiner's armor titan with the Thunder Spears, she cries when she thinks that they might have killed him. Even though Reiner and Bertold were traitors, they were all friends once, and because of her emotional attachment to them, she mourns thinking that they killed him. Even when Jean tells her not to mourn his traitor assassins, she cries anyways. Near the end of that arc, during the expedition outside of Wall Maria, Sasha gets to play in the oceans with her friends, which was probably one of the sweetest and probably best experiences of her life. At this point, there's a bit of a time skip and we go straight into the Marley-Eldian conflict. So after learning the truth of the outside world and of the conflict, and the truth of the island walls, the scouts were able to capture a Marleyan warship and take some of its prisoners. Niccolo was one of the prisoners of Marley who was maintaining positive relations with the islanders, and he would often cook for them. It's implied at this point that Sasha and Niccolo fell in love over their love for food. He loved making things for her to experience, and she loved to experience them by eating them. They spent about a year together, and Sasha's genuine love for eating inspired Niccolo to look at this cooking as a way to bring happiness to others, and that the love for food obviously transcended politics, race, and he went so far as to say that Sasha actually saved him from the war. The scouts eventually wage war on Marley. Sasha was taught to use snipers and other guns, adding to her sharpshooter arsenal. In the attack on Liberio, she was able to one-shot her targets very, very effectively. Despite Aaron's rampage, she only shot at soldiers and not citizens. While being shot at by the cart titan, she regroups and even manages to snipe the soldiers in the Panzer unit. Finally, after a long battle, the scouts retreat, and while celebrating their raid on Liberio, there's commotion behind her. Sasha turned around and came face to face with Gabby Brown, a girl from Liberio who had come to avenge the soldiers that Sasha had sniped, and without the chance to react, Sasha is shot in the chest. She lies limp, fading in and out of consciousness, asking why everyone around her is panicking and yelling. As her vision fades, her last words are asking her friends for some meat. Connie, Jean, Mikasa, and Armin cry and plead for her to hold on, that she can't die now, that after all these years together, how could this be the way it goes? How could this happen? Her, Jean, and Connie had become an especially close trio, basically family, and had survived so many close calls together over their years being in the Scouts. Sasha's death was a shock because of how sudden it was. It was a harsh reminder that in Attack on Titan, nobody truly has enough plot armor to protect them. When the Survey Corps returned to Paradis Island, they gave Sasha a proper burial. Her friends mourned her death alongside the viewers. Her story had come to an abrupt end. Sasha's personality was so contagious, it not only affected her friends, but also Niccolo and even Yelena, so much so that the scheming bitch that she is, shot and killed one of her peers when he disrespected Sasha after her death. Sasha, the food-loving sharpshooter, might be gone now, but she progressed from being a selfish brat to a selfless hero, even among the Scout Regiment, and she made deep impressions on everyone who got to see her shine. Gone, but never forgotten. Sasha Blouse. Rest in Potato. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this dive into Sasha's character arc over the story. I'm going to be releasing a lot more Attack on Titan content as the final season airs. To support my channel, please leave a like and subscribe so that I can continue to make more videos over the coming months and years. I have a lot of great ideas and would love to share them with you all. That's all for now, and until next time, peace out.